In Colorado, the property owner is the one who is legally liable for code violations, even if the violations were caused by a tenant or unauthorized occupant. That's the bottom line. Why the owner is liable? Code enforcement is tied to the property, not the person living in it. The property owner is responsible for ensuring the property is zoned correctly, ensuring any alterations have permits, ensuring the property is safe and habitable, ensuring the property is not used in a way that violates building codes. Even if the tenant is the one doing the illegal work, the owner is still the one who owns the land and is responsible for compliance. What about the tenant? Are they liable? Yes, the tenant can be liable too, but only in limited ways. The tenant may be liable if they made the alterations themselves, they caused the violation, they were aware the alterations were illegal, they are operating an illegal business, e.g., renting an unpermitted space. But the county will still enforce against the owner first, because that's how code enforcement works. Practical reality. Most county code enforcement cases are handled against the owner because it's easier to enforce against someone who owns the property. They can impose fines, liens, abatement orders. The owner is the one who can fix it. The tenant may get hit later if the county chooses to pursue them for illegal occupancy, unpermitted construction, fraud, if they are renting it out illegally. So who gets cited? Typically, owner gets cited for illegal conversion of garage, illegal occupancy, zoning violations, lack of permits, unpermitted construction, code compliance failures. Tenant gets cited for trespassing if they are unauthorized, illegal occupancy if the county pursues it, unpermitted work if they did it themselves, operating an illegal rental or business. Key point: even if the tenant caused the problem, the owner still loses under code enforcement law because they are the one responsible for the property. If you want, I can explain how an owner can protect themselves from tenant-caused violations, how to document tenant misconduct. Got it. That fact matters a lot because an RV parked on property for more than 30 days can trigger its own code violations, and it changes the liability dynamic slightly, but not enough to change the outcome. Here's the clean breakdown. Number 1, the RV violation. Who is responsible? In Colorado, the property owner is still primarily responsible for code compliance. Even if the RV belongs to the tenant, the owner is still responsible for preventing code violations on their property, ensuring compliance with zoning and land use rules, stopping illegal storage or occupancy. So the owner is liable for the RV overstay under the land use code. Number 2, the tenant's liability. The tenant can also be liable if the county decides to pursue them because the RV is theirs, they caused the overstay, they are using the property illegally, but the county will still go after the owner first because that's how enforcement works. Number 3, what this RV fact changes. It makes the pattern worse because the tenant is repeatedly violating codes, the tenant is bringing an RV and living in it illegally, the tenant is using the property in ways that are clearly not permitted, the tenant is showing a pattern of knowing violation. That means, A, the county can more easily prove knowledge because he has a history. B, the county can pursue the tenant as a repeat violator, even though the owner is the primary target. C, the owner may have a stronger argument to pursue the tenant civilly because the tenant is clearly causing the violations. Number 4, the owner's liability still exists. Even though the tenant is clearly the one causing the RV violation, the owner still has legal responsibility to stop it because owners are expected to manage and control what happens on their property. Owners are responsible for zoning compliance. Owners are responsible for nuisance and code violations. Number 5, the owner can still recover from the tenant. The owner can evict the tenant, sue for damages, sue for code fines paid, sue for costs to remove RV or fix violations, claim breach of contract or nuisance. But the county does not care about those internal disputes. They enforce against the property owner. Number 6, what the county can do with an RV violation under LLUC Article 3.5.3.f.4.b, the county can issue fines, order removal of the RV, order abatement, place a lien on the property, escalate to court action. Owner is liable for the code violations, including the RV overstay. Tenant may also be liable, but only if the county chooses to pursue them. If you want, I can also help you map out the exact liability structure under the specific Lucy code you mentioned, how the owner can document tenant responsibility for the county, what the county can do if the tenant returns and repeats the pattern, how the owner can protect. Okay, this is a classic retaliatory strategy used by people who are getting caught breaking the law. The alleged tenant is now trying to weaponize the legal system to intimidate the county and disrupt enforcement. Here's what's important. Number one, the tenant's lawsuit is almost certainly weak. Claims like harassment, extortion, deprivation of housing, threats are very hard to prove against a county code enforcement officer, especially when the officer is enforcing valid code violations. Why the lawsuit is weak. Code enforcement is lawful action, not harassment. The officer is enforcing written law, not targeting a person. If the tenant is illegally occupying and altering a garage, the tenant has no housing rights in that space. A county officer does not deprive someone of housing by enforcing codes. The tenant deprived themselves by living illegally. Number two, the key legal reality. Code enforcement is a government function. Code enforcement is a legitimate government function. The county has the authority to inspect, cite, fine, abate, enforce compliance. So unless the officer acted unlawfully, bribery, threats, intimidation, racial profiling, etc., there is no legal basis for these claims. Number three, the tenant's claims likely fall under these categories. Here's how the claims will be viewed. A. Harassment. Only applies if the officer engaged in repeated targeted actions without legal basis, intimidation or abuse of power, actions beyond lawful enforcement. B. Extortion. Extortion requires unlawful threat for obtaining property or money. Issuing a citation is not extortion. C. Deprivation of housing. The tenant was never legally entitled to the space. Illegal occupancy does not create a right to housing. D. Threats. Only if the officer threatened unlawful action. A lawful enforcement action is not a threat. Number four, the county and officer have strong defenses. Assuming the county followed procedures, the defenses are strong. Qualified immunity for government officials, official immunity for discretionary enforcement actions. The officer was acting within authority. The violations are documented. The tenant admitted to illegal actions in video. The tenant had no legal tenancy or rights in the space. Number five, the tenant's video could be used against him. If he posted a video admitting he is altering a garage without permits, he is planning to rent it, he is mocking code enforcement, that becomes evidence that he knew the occupancy was illegal, he was acting in bad faith, he was not being harassed for no reason. Number six, what the county should do. If you are asking as an owner or as someone involved, the county should 1. Document everything. 2. Keep all inspection reports. 3. Preserve the video. 4. Follow procedure strictly. 5. Avoid personal communication. 6. Let the legal department handle it. If the tenant is suing, the county should treat it as a SLAP, strategic lawsuit against public participation style lawsuit, a retaliatory lawsuit, a nuisance suit. Number 7, the tenant may be exposed to counterclaims. Because the tenant is admitting illegal behavior, the county could potentially countersue for false claims, seek sanctions for frivolous lawsuit, seek a protective order. Bottom line, the tenant's lawsuit is almost certainly baseless. He has no legal standing to claim deprivation of housing or harassment when he was illegally occupying and altering property. He has no lease, he has no permitted dwelling, he has no tenant rights. The county code enforcement officer is protected by law when performing official duties. If you want, I can help you draft a legal strategy for the county or owner. Explain what defenses the county will use. Explain what qualifies as a valid claim versus a frivolous lawsuit. Explain how to counter a retaliatory lawsuit. Just say what you want.